Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are. Guys, I'm just sitting here in my apartment. What is this? It's Tuesday, July 11th. It's day 503 of the Russo Ukrainian War. And I got to tell you, I'm sitting here in my apartment alone and I'm like giggling to myself. I'm just laughing because it occurred to me today just how badly Putin has failed in everything he has done. When he started this war, what were his stated goals? The demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, the liberation of the Donetsk and Luhansk regions, and commonly referred to as the Donbass, uh, to keep Ukraine out of NATO and to limit NATO's expansion along Russia's border. I mean, really. Now let's do these one at a time. Denazification is nonsense, of course, because there are literally more Nazis in Miami than there are in this country. Although I'll tell you, I did meet one last Saturday. He was an American, though. I want to be clear about that. Disgusting. And demilitarization. Demilitarization. According to Oryx, now the Ukrainians have more tanks than the Russians. So that's a failure. Um, the liberation of Donetsk and Luhansk. Oh my God. Have you seen pictures from Luhansk and Donetsk and Luhansk? It's rubble. There's nothing left to liberate. He's ground an entire part of civilized Europe, the part he was supposed to be liberating, into dust. NATO, of course, as soon as the war is over, is going to issue an invitation for fast track entrance of Ukraine into NATO. So that's a failure of the worst kind. And I'm disappointed that the media is so negative on this. No to Ukraine and NATO. That is not what has been said at all. It's not. No, right now, okay. It's a defensive alliance. You're at war. We got to wait till the war is over. All right. It's not unreasonable. But once the war is over, here's the whole plan. And in the meantime, we're going to ramp you up on equipment so you get full deep integration and training on that equipment so we're ready to rock and roll as soon as you're in. That's that's not bad. And again, I understand why President Zelensky is disappointed. I do. But it's a win, guys. It's a win. And then in terms of Putin losing, look at this. He wanted to keep NATO borders away, right? Well, this right here, this red line represents the border to Finland, which as of today is officially in NATO, as is Sweden. So that's um, it's oh, I know this. I'm so sorry. It's a 1,341 kilometer border, if I'm not mistaken. It's 1,341 kilometers, about 800 miles, that have been added now, but up against China, or but up against Russia, sorry, but up against Russia. A new 850-mile border, 1,300-kilometer border with a NATO country. Now, look at this. If we add Sweden, right, it's about 850,000 square kilometers of land mass of countries bordering Russia that are now in the NATO alliance. Brilliant. Just brilliant. And then there's this, the Baltic Sea. It used to be the domain of the Russian Empire, right? If the countries weren't owned by the Russian Empire, then at least they were afraid of them or neutral toward them, right? Well, the Baltic Sea might as well be called the NATO Sea now, or the Sea of NATO, because Russia has this tiny little space right there, where they can access it. And then they're in international waters, and all those international waters are bordered by NATO countries. So it's a joke. Putin's a joke. He's made Russia a joke. And his war is about to come to an end in the worst possible way for him. Now, I say that about to come to an end. We're 503 days into this nightmare war of his. And the Russians are fighting like Russians fight. And unfortunately, Putin is going to make these young Ukrainian boys murder every single one of them to get them out of the country if they don't put down their arms and walk away like they did in 1917, right? It was a good idea then, boys. It's a better idea now. So anyway, I did find it funny. I think it's ridiculous. I think the whole thing is a sin and a waste of life. And I wish to God the Russian army would smarten up and just walk home. Just put your guns down, boys, and walk home. Uh, Enough is enough of this nonsense. Slava Ukraine.